Before you listen, if you enjoy the stories and want to hear more, then please consider subscribing. Most of you listening aren't subscribed, so please take this time to subscribe. Turn on notifications so you'll never miss a story and be the first to hear. You'll also be supporting me. Thank you. Something about the charm of a big city that's forever enticing. That's what I was thinking when I booked a room in a cozy bed and breakfast in the heart of New York City. A charming 3-story brownstone tucked away in a quiet, tree-lined avenue of the bustling city, it was an island of tranquility amidst the tumultuous sea of urbanity. I arrived late afternoon. The golden sun was cascading over the cityscape, making everything look washed in the hues of amber and gold. It was beautiful. It was serene. It was soon to be anything but. After unpacking, I meandered around the homely place, drinking in the vintage charm, the grandeur that was so subtly woven into every nook and cranny. There was a patina of age on everything. The building itself was ancient, and yet immaculately preserved. The creaking wooden floors, the ornate furniture, the embroidered drapes, the intricately designed wallpaper, everything whispered stories of a bygone era. I had this peculiar sensation of being transported into the past, and yet I was very much in the here and now. It was a duality that was as baffling as it was thrilling. After a long, winding exploration, I found myself back in my room. It was adorned in muted pastels, the bed inviting with its luxurious, soft quilt. The adjacent windows give me a generous view of the bustling city below, coming alive under the veil of darkness. Night was settling, and with it, a strange hush seemed to descend upon the B&B. I shrugged off an odd feeling of worry, attributing it to jet lag and the unusual quietness of the place, so contrasting to the city's customary hum. As I was drifting off into a restless slumber, a faint sound stirred me. Laughter. Not the hearty laughter of a jovial crowd, but a mirthless, hollow echo that seemed to originate from nowhere and yet was everywhere. I lay frozen, my mind struggling to comprehend this oddity. The B&B was supposedly empty, save for the owner who lived on the ground floor. I dismissed it as a figment of my tired imagination, buried myself deeper into the soft covers, and tried to get back to sleep. But then came the banging. It was a single resonant knock on my door, like the sound of a heavy hand hitting the solid oak, a sound that cut through the silence of the night. My heart pounded as I slowly got up, every sense heightened, adrenaline flooding my veins. I approached the door with caution, and gathering every ounce of courage, I swung it open. There was nothing. The narrow hallway was empty, save for the dim yellow light seeping from an antique lamp at the far end. I peeked down the hallway, the eerie silence amplifying the loud thud of my own heartbeat. A wave of relief washed over me. It must have been the building settling, I thought. The laughter, the knocking, it was all a product of my overworked, overly imaginative mind. I retreated back into my room, the chill of the situation slowly fading into the back of my mind. Yet, as the night wore on, the incidents didn't cease. The laughter echoed through the halls intermittently, the knocking on the door, persistent and disturbingly rhythmic. With every passing hour, the sounds grew louder, more pronounced, as if growing confident in its ability to unnerve me. I ventured out several times, only to be met with the same eerie silence and desolation. The transition from night to dawn felt like a century. As the first rays of sunlight flooded the city, the haunting laughter ceased, the knocking on the door stopped. The unsettling nocturnal symphony had ended, leaving behind an uncanny silence. The charm of the B&B felt grotesquely deceptive in the light of day, its allure tainted by the inexplicable happenings of the previous night. The world outside was coming alive, the city pulsating with energy, the sounds of morning traffic distant yet comforting. Inside the B&B, the disturbing events of the night felt like fragments of a bad dream, and yet there was a palpable change in the air, a lingering feeling of discomfort, a sense of horror that no amount of sunlight could dispel. What was supposed to be a delightful stay in the city's heart had turned into an eerie encounter that left me questioning my sanity. A paradoxical experience, filled with the vibrancy of the city, the allure of vintage charm, and the chilling echoes of mirthless laughter and rhythmic knocking, had turned a casual stay into a chillingly unforgettable experience. The eerie night at the B&B in New York City, a place where the past and present coexisted in a disconcerting duality, will forever be etched in my memory, a chilling reminder of the unnerving underbelly of urban charm. All right, let me tell you about this trip I had. I mean, we're talking Marrakech, Morocco, man. An absolute jewel of a place. Now, I was not in some dingy backpackers inn. No, sir. We'd gone all out and booked a spot at this lush resort that was practically a miniature city in itself. Plush greenery, private villas, you name it. I mean, picture this: awkward buildings bathed in warm sunlight, bustling markets filled with vibrant colors and heady scents, and the mesmerizing backdrop of the Atlas Mountains. To say that I was excited would be an understatement. My two friends and I booked ourselves into a plush resort on the outskirts of the city, a place where luxury meets tradition. The kind of place where the rooms are decked out in rich, earthy tones. The pillows are fluffier than clouds, and you get lost navigating the labyrinth of beautifully manicured gardens and swimming pools that seem to stretch into infinity. A couple of days in, everything was picture perfect. I was busy exploring the city's historic sites, sampling all the mouth-watering local cuisine I could get my hands on, and meeting some truly fascinating characters. The resort was a paradise where I retreated every evening, weary from the day's adventures and excited for the next day's prospects. Then things started to get strange. I came back to my room one evening after an exhilarating hot air balloon ride over the city, and it was like a mini tornado had swept through my room. Clothes were strewn all over, my luggage was wide open, and even my toiletries seemed to have been disturbed. The odd thing was, nothing was missing. I shook off the strange feeling, asking my friends if they'd moved any of my items, but they all said no, blaming the housekeeping for the disarray, and reported it to the front desk. They apologized profusely and assured me it wouldn't happen again. They even shifted me to another room, one that was bigger and had an even better view. But the strange happenings didn't stop. A few days into my stay in the new room, I started noticing that small things were disappearing. A paperback I was reading in my travel journal, my favorite pair of sunglasses, all gone. Every time I reported these incidents, the management looked bewildered and apologized, but they seemed as clueless as I was. The worst part came a week into my trip. I spent the day at a traditional rock and hammam, all relaxed and rejuvenated, only to come back to my room and find that my passport was missing. It was like the floor had fallen out from under me. The lack of it not only prevented me from enjoying the rest of my vacation, but also from going back home. I reported the incident to local authorities in my embassy, and an investigation was launched. Days turned into weeks. The resort, which initially felt like a sanctuary, began to seem like a strange, unfamiliar place. Despite the management's attempts to make me feel comfortable, and no matter what, I had this that something definitely wasn't right. I was stuck in a limbo of sorts, trying to enjoy the remainder of my vacation while dealing with the mysterious disappearances and the ensuing anxiety. Despite the unsettling situation, I forced myself to visit the beautiful gardens of Jardin Majorelle, get lost in the souks of the Medina, and savor the flavorful tagines, all while dealing with a perplexing mystery that was unfolding in my room. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, I was issued an emergency passport, and I was able to return home, albeit with a heavy heart and unsolved mystery. The resort management couldn't provide any answers, and the local authorities had no leads. Looking back, the experience feels surreal, like an unfinished chapter from a mystery novel. The memory of that vacation is bittersweet, a mix of magical moments in a mesmerizing city, marred by a mysterious string of incidents that turned my dream vacation into a nerve-wracking enigma. What was supposed to be a peaceful getaway became a suspense-filled adventure that I could have never imagined, a testament to the saying, expected unexpected. Maybe someday I'll return to Marrakech, perhaps to find the missing pieces of this unsolved puzzle. Until then, this remains my most unforgettable travel story, a tale of beauty, mystery, and an unsolved enigma. If you've ever been to Croatia, you know it's the stuff of dreams. Crystal clear waters, picturesque landscapes, charming little towns that time forgot. It's got the whole package. So when I had the chance to embark on a solo backpacking trip, Croatia was a no-brainer. Now, among all the places I bunked in, there was this one place in particular that lodged itself firmly in my memory, and not necessarily for the best reasons. It was a cute little cottage nestled in the rolling hills of Istria, run by a local family and converted into a unique hotel. Think rustic wooden beams, vintage furniture, an eclectic collection of books, and a whole menagerie of statues. Quite the character, this place. My room was charming in its own right, decked out with comfy furnishings, a generous collection of books, and a smattering of statues. A charmingly odd statue of a dragon, about the size of a house cat and incredibly detailed, occupied a corner of my room. After a long day of exploring, I retired to my room, my legs aching from the day's exertions, but my heart full. As I settled into the plush armchair with a dog-eared novel from the room's collection, I couldn't help but feel a sense of calm wash over me. But amidst the calm, I couldn't avoid this weird feeling about that marble dragon statue. It was facing the window when I first checked in, but now it seemed to be turned slightly towards me. I shook it off, chuckling at my tired mind playing tricks. As the night deepened, I put down the book and found myself aimlessly scrolling through my phone. I glanced up to find the dragon statue eerily facing me. It was hard to mistake this time. It had definitely moved. My heart pounded in my chest, and a chill ran down my spine. Deciding I didn't need a stone dragon watching over me as I slept, I draped a blanket over it, muffling the sight. Sleep was restless that night. Every creak of the old cottage, every rustle of the trees outside, seemed amplified, soaking the embers of my unease. As the first rays of morning light filtered through the windows, I breathed a sigh of relief. But that relief was short-lived when I saw the blanket I used to cover the statue was crumpled on the floor, and the dragon statue had moved again, now facing the bed directly. Creepy didn't begin to describe it. Here I was in a foreign land, living out a scene from a horror movie in an otherwise enchanting cottage. I brought it up with the hotel owners, who looked as perplexed as I felt, assuring me that no one else had access to my room, and that they had never heard of such an incident before. That you'd offered to remove the statue, but intrigued by the mystery, I decided to let it be. Every night for the rest of my stay, the ritual repeated. Despite my efforts to ignore it or cover it up, the dragon statue would invariably end up facing me, its expression unchanged, yet seemingly more menacing each time. My days were filled with the natural beauty and rich culture of Croatia, but my nights were a constant battle with the unnerving presence of the dragon statue. I tried to reason, tried to find logical explanations. But how does one account for a statue that moves of its own accord? I even considered the possibility of it being an elaborate prank by a hotel staff, but the genuine concern and confusion on their faces told me otherwise. My stay ended without any sinister happenings, but the experience left me with a strange feeling. What began as a serene retreat turned into a mysterious and slightly terrifying tale that I'd be recounting for years. While I fell in love with Croatia's natural charm and warm hospitality, the bizarre incident in the cottage remains one of the most baffling experiences of my life. So there you have it, my spooky little encounter in the idyllic hills of Istria. Now, whenever I see a statue, I can't help but wonder if it's watching me, waiting to turn when I look away. It's a chilling reminder that even in the most picturesque settings, something uncanny can always unfold. Thanks for listening in. If you like these stories and want to hear more, then please subscribe and like and support this new channel. We have more stories for you to listen to.